not going that low, but not like that. Did anybody see Alan out there?
I know he's here, yes, I did.
Oh, I thought I see him.
I think he just walked in.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. Oh. Okay. Yeah, but you said the lawyer, she's not here.
Well, no,
Okay, is the HR again? Because I didn't see her either. I'm going to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Bell? Here. Trustee Burns? Here. Trustee Coleman? Trustee Grant? Here. Trustee Jazinski? Here. And Trustee Williams?
yeah, here.
Okay, first item on business is our discussion from Mr. Cliff Taylor from Insure Source. You can come right up here and, well, you know the drill. I think that mic should work. I hope it did. Try to press it until it gets green. Hold it into it.
Testing.
There we go.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Trustees, Madam Clerk. Again, my name is Cliff Taylor. I'm from Insure Source. I handle your general liability and your workers' comp insurance for the village of Sauk Village. As every year, we've come across this time of year for the renewal, so I'm here to discuss the renewal, discuss the terms. Last year, you guys loved me. This year, maybe not so much. But we will go through everything in detail, discuss the insurance, where we're at, where the market is at, and where we're at right now in terms of premium. Before I get started, just to let you all know, we are still in the middle of negotiations, but I know that because of the time frame and near the end of this month, when we get to this committee as a whole, we'll still negotiate on this week, and hopefully we can get a little bit better terms at the end of the week. So when I come back to you all next week, maybe we'll have a little bit more favorable rates, but again, I'll explain in detail as per the proposal. I'll bring it up. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Trustee Solomon.
How many times? So,
It's retired.
okay. So we get to page 2, and this is the executive summary that kind of summarizes where we're at to this point. I'm just going to kind of go through it real quick, kind of paraphrase it some, but again, we're pleased to present this year's renewal terms for the village of Sauk Village. To say these last several years have been challenged in the insurance industry is an understatement, especially with respect to the public entity space. We have seen several legacy companies completely pull out of the market. And one of them was last year with your longtime insurer, Chubb. And Chubb pulled out on us last year. Fortunately, we had Liberty Mutual who stepped in to fill the gap last year, and we realized a sizable reduction in premium. I don't know if you remember that we had around $100,000 in reductions, which allowed us to go and purchase additional insurance to get our limits up from 8 million to 10 million, which last year was a good year. We took advantage of it. Liberty came in, they were very aggressive, so that really worked out for us. Liberty has seen this public entity pricing module completely deteriorate, and this is what I mean. Liberty had not been in this market, I'd say, since maybe the last 5 to 7 years. They wanted to get in this municipal space, they got in here, they were very aggressive in coming into the market. But what happens is, after so many years, you get some of those claims, they come to what they call a maturity, and now they start to see what public entity claims really are. So now you come in, you buy the business, now claims come up, getting over it, what happens? They do a total renegotiation in terms of their market and their size, and so they re-underwrite everything now, not just with the Village of Sauk Village, but their entire book of business. So some of this we're going to be seeing is going to be just an overall with Liberty Market now, Liberty Mutual now in this marketplace, and now they're starting to see some of the maturity, a lot of the claims that they're starting to get. And they bought up a nice market share in Cook County, just so you guys know. So they came in, they were really aggressive, we took advantage of it. Now it's starting to show us ugly head a little bit, unfortunately. Okay, while Liberty has not exited the market, they have re-underwritten their entire portfolio, which has impacted pricing and self-insured retention levels. Also, LI Public Risk, your incumbent excess carrier, or one of them, they completely withdrew from the market. I mean, they completely removed from Cook County. So anybody who's with Allied are now finding new carriers now to take them, that excess carrier coverage over. Again, we were successfully able to replace Allied at a similar cost, but we had to build the limits using 3 carriers, which basically means when Allied was covering a certain amount of coverage for the village, it's taking 3 carriers to do the same thing. So they're splitting the risk, but in that instance, it did keep our cost stay pretty close in terms of the assets insurance. The property market has also deteriorated with, of course, all the things you saw over the summer with all the hurricanes in the coastal area, so that impacts us as well. I'm sure you've seen it on your homeowners, and then some of that as well that's affecting everyone. And finally, your incumbent pollution carrier, Westchester, they decided to non-renew, but we are still in negotiations with them. That is a real small piece of the policy, but we do have another carrier in place, but we're trying to keep Westchester on. There's just some more information that I'm gonna have to get from the Public Works Department to see if it satisfies them to bring them back to the table. So to recap here, in general, we were able to keep pricing in line with the markets, but no markets were willing to compete with Liberty even at the renewal rates. And so you will see the primary packaging increase despite our best marketing efforts. As of every year, we go to the entire marketplace to see who would entertain, who would want to insure the village. We are confident that the terms presented in the attached proposal are the best terms available in a very difficult market environment. Before I go forward, any questions so far? So the next page just talks about what we do throughout the year with the village, where we look at the claims, we keep a close look, we do claims reviews, pay attention to what's going on in the marketplace to keep you guys aware of what's going on, and so we can better prepare for a renewal like today. Next page is the marketing results. These are all the carriers that we went to. And as you look, you see the ones that we currently have that either they quoted and we're going to recommend. Some of them are incumbents. Some are new to the village. You will see a lot of declines. The declines does not mean that they just said no. What usually happens with a carrier is if they can't be competitive in pricing or your levels of coverage, they'll rather decline than to show higher premium. This looks bad on them, right? So they'd rather just decline coverage. So it doesn't mean that they wouldn't give terms, they're not competing with Liberty. So again, that shows that Liberty came in here very aggressive, and they had SIR levels and premiums that just wasn't matching the market. Now they're starting to fill it, so now they're starting to do what the other carriers are doing, basically, in a nutshell. Go to the next page, it talks about your current self-insurance structure. Like I said, last year we were able to get those limits up from 8 million to 10 million, so last year was definitely a good year. If we turn to the next page with option 1. As you can see, the SIRs have changed. Instead of where we were at 100,000, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, sorry about that. So SIRs is what they call a self-insured retention. And that's what they call it when you're on a partially self-funded plan like the village has. Look at it as a deductible. It's basically a deductible, but the correct terminology in the partially self-funded plan is self-insured retention. So it's basically what your deductible is per claim. Okay? So with option 1, as you can see, our SIR on some of our lines doubled. Where some we had 100,000, it's now 2. Our law enforcement on this particular one, last year was at 350, it's at 5. All of the other limits remain the same. And this is with the option 1. Option 2 would take it a little higher and it saves a little bit in premium, but not a lot. It would take the SIRs from 200 to 350. It would still keep law enforcement at 5. When Liberty initially came in, they came in exactly at 350 and 5 for law enforcement. They didn't even have the 200 option. We went back to them and said, hey, that's just too much of a jump to tell a municipality they got to go from 100,000 to a 350 and a 500,000 on law enforcement. We got to do this in steps. We can't just go and do this. So they agreed. They gave us terms. Those terms did cost a little bit more, as we'll see on the premium summary, but we were able to get them to come down because initially they wanted to just jump right to 350 across the board, with the exception of law enforcement, which is at 5. Any questions so far? Law enforcement's at 350. It was at 350, now we'll go to 5. Yes, and we'll talk a little bit more too on some things I'm still doing in the background as we're speaking throughout the rest of this week. The next page is just kind of goes through the different policies, the excess policies that we're going to have in place, so it just explains a little of that, but to get to the nuts and bolts of it, we want to go to the premium summary page, because this gets to where the cost is. Page 14. Yes, sir.
Sorry, going back to on page 6 for option 1. So was there a reason why? So I know that looks like Allied, like you said, they're no longer in the game anymore, and now we have 3 carriers taking on the coverage for just the one that we had last year.
Yes.
Is there a reason why the 3 that picked up? Homesite is half, $5 million. Then we have Indian Harbor for 2, Kinsale for 3. Is there a reason why maybe Kinsale couldn't do $5 million or Indian Harbor can do $5 million, so we just have 2, I guess, carriers instead of just 3, a total of 3?
Right. Well, if you look at Homesite is covering everything except the law and public officials. So they covered that on that end and they kept their premium relatively low. And then you see you have Indian Harbor and Kinsale who picked up the rest because they were really to pick up the law enforcement.
Okay.
That's why that's kind of structured that way.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And a lot of times what they're doing now in the marketplace, and they've been doing it the last few years, is, like we said, instead of one carrier covering, for example, $5 million of coverage, they get 2 to 3 carriers to do the same thing. Now they're sharing the risk. It does help to keep the cost down some. It just makes my job harder, but that's what I do, right? So I have to do that, but that's basically what they're doing. They're sharing risk. No, on that top $2 million layer. So they're covering $2 million of your $10 million of coverage. Right below that is Kinsale, which is covering $3 million. Then Liberty covers the first 5, and that's what equals up to the $10 million. So we basically call this building towers, basically. And you're basically building a tower to get up to our limits. Yes, sir. Well, they have they have what they call a package. The package is the first line of coverage you see. Let's call it the first line of defense. That's up to that $1 million. Then they have their umbrella. The umbrella does the other $4 million. Those 2 together bring it to 5. And then that's when the other carriers come in. You have Kinsale at 3, Indian Harbor at 2 on the law enforcement piece and public officials. You have Homesite doing the whole $5 million on all the other lines. Yes, sir.
One more question. So, this is I'm pretty sure this is not our first, or not our second year. I'm pretty sure for multiple years we've had $10 million in coverage total. Looking at that total number now, is $10 million still enough? You know, with the cost of inflation, everything's going up these days, accidents going up, you know, just cost of everything.
Right.
Do we know if $10 million is, I mean, it sounds like a lot, you know, but honestly, if an accident happens or, you know, some kind of, you know, anything, you know, happens, I mean, $10 million could go pretty fast.
Yeah, it can. It can in today's lawsuits, and we're seeing that happening all around us. We won't get into specific villages, but we've seen it in the news, right? So $10 million is a nice place to be. Could there be more? Absolutely. As an insurance guy, yes, I'll sell it to you. But it really comes down to the budget of the village and what we can do. And with the increases we have this year, if you want me to entertain it, I absolutely can. But I know we got dinged pretty good this year. So once we look at the numbers, you can let me know if that's something you want to entertain, and I can go back to the carriers. If you remember last year, we were at $8 million. Because we had such a significant savings, we had an opportunity to bump it up to 10. And we all agreed that we would do that because of the savings. And remember, we talked about it and said, let's do it now while we can, because we may have a year like this year that we're having right now, and we're trying to get that extra $2 million. May be very expensive to almost impossible right now. So it was very good that we did it this year.
So with that being said, having $8 million in coverage this year, would that be a significant cost savings versus the $10 million that you're going to show us?
We can look and see. I don't know if it would take that much off, because we're only talking that top $2 million layer, and the chances of you getting in that top, you'd have to have a pretty bad claim. Okay. So it may take off a little bit, but it won't. Yeah, it won't be. It put a little bit of money in the piggy bank, but it won't save a lot. Yeah, gotcha. But we can look. We can definitely look at it and entertain it. Okay, we can go back to the premium summary page. I believe that is 14. So to kind of give a historical perspective on what we talked about when we talked about the savings last year. If you looked at the 2021-22 policy, we were approximately at $626,000 in premium. We went down last year to $549,000, but that was tacking on the $30,000 for the additional $2 million in premium. So we were originally around $520,000. We were saving about $100,000. If you look at where we are this year, if we went with option 1, and that would put the SIRs at the 200 and the 5 for law enforcement, we are at worst case scenario 698. If we went with option 2, which puts us at the 350 SIR, $500,000 for law enforcement, we're at 683. So as you notice, it's not a big difference there for you guys to take on that much more responsibility on the front end with the SIR. What we are currently doing is we have another carrier out there that we're negotiating with, and all they do is law enforcement. That's all they do all over the United States. And so we're trying to get them in to take over the law enforcement piece of the policy. If we're able to get them to do that and keep them at your current SIRs at 350, we want to see where that brings us in at. Because if we can get them to take on the law enforcement up to the first $1 million or $2 million and take that off of Liberty, that may give us some significant savings on the Liberty side, on the umbrella, as well as on the package. So that's what we're going to go. We haven't gotten the quote back yet. I expect to get it back either tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. And that's where, if that helps us some on the premium, then I'll be coming back to you guys saying next week, hey, we can go with option 1. We're going to throw in, they're called public risk underwriters. We'll bring them in on the law enforcement, and with that, that may bring us down a little bit. It won't be life-changing, but whatever we can get off of this for savings, you know, would definitely, I'm sure it would be, yes, it would be greatly achieved right now, because this is not a good renewal. There's no way to sugarcoat it at all. It's called public risk underwriters. And they have a special program that they do throughout the United States. It started maybe 7 or 8 years ago, maybe a little bit, maybe closer to 10. And what was happening was a lot of municipalities carriers were renewing the municipalities, but they were excluding law because they were having large law enforcement claims. So this carrier came in, they spent procedures up the core and all of that different stuff. So they try to help not only with insuring the municipality, but making sure that we're doing all the necessary things. So we are in talks with them right now. I'm hoping that they'll come in with some favorable rates, which could help us negotiate a little bit better with Liberty. They would take on the law enforcement up to the first $2 million. Is what we're trying to get them to do. We can get the first 2, which is considered the sweet spot for most, lawsuits. Then that's what they call it, basically. And so after that, then we'll have the other carriers that we already have in place that will still stack on top. So we still have our 10 million. Yep. But we'll be taking some of the responsibility away from Liberty and like that, right? So they'll help us with the premium, yes.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
So looking at the, I know you mentioned earlier, for pollution underground storage tanks, I know that carrier dropped out.
Yes, Westchester, that was the name of the carrier. They have dropped out, right? They've non-renewed, but they are still kind of dangling at the table. There's some information they want that I'm gonna get to them and see if they'll come back because they had the better rates. We did get an indication from a company called Insure, but they were almost double. So we were paying approximately 11 to 12,000 for pollution. Right now with Insure, they're coming in at around 1920.
Okay, so this number that you have listed, that's Insure's number.
That's Insure's number.
Assuming that Westchester doesn't come back.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So what I wanted to do today is bring worst case scenario. So if we're able to get Westchester back on board, if we're able to do this thing with the law enforcement, then I'll come back next week with some a revised premium summary sheet that will show exactly where we're at. That would be Insure. So at this point, this is where we're at. Again, we are still actively negotiating, so I'm hoping to get a little bit more favorable rates from where we're at. And then we'll be back next week at the council meeting. But hopefully, if I get all of this week, I will be able to get this premium summary pages to all of you all before the council meeting next week. So you get a chance to review it before the council, and then you guys can make a decision there if we want to stay with option 1 or go with option 2, depending on where we come in from the premium standpoint.
I do have a question. Is there a time frame? Is next week the absolute deadline? Because I know that when it comes to insurance, if you don't have it by a certain time, then there's no more negotiation. So
I would need binding authority by, everyone is really East Coast, I would need binding authority by the 26th at 3 p.m.
okay.
So even if next week we
Right.
don't renew until March 27th, but I didn't want to come to
Right,
the last
that makes
minute.
sense.
So basically we have until March 26th to give binding authority.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
That was going to be my question. Every year, Cliff, you come at the very tail end where we just have to do it like next week.
Okay.
So is there any way we can do it like a couple weeks before we're at the drop-down deadline date? I know you're still trying to get figures together and all that, but maybe even if we don't get everything, if you still think you can do a little bit better for us after next week's council meeting, we can always come back and maybe talk about it prior to the committee meeting of the following week.
Okay.
If you think you still have something that you're still waiting for that could be really advantageous to us, you still have that other week.
Okay.
I just want to keep that in the back of your mind.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Because it's always like, right now,
Right.
we got to do it.
In the last few years, it's been so crazy, especially with COVID. Everything has been slowed down. Most of these insurance underwriters are working from home, and I'm getting numbers. I can't move on going to the market until I get the quote from the primary carrier.
I mean, we can see what
And
the work
Liberty
that is
comes in,
about,
and once
what you're
Liberty finally
doing
comes
here.
in last minute,
And I
right.
understand that
Yeah.
they're, but just so you know, I think that maybe we can possibly have just, if you think there's some more that you could do even better for us,
Right.
talk to the mayor and the clerk about possibly putting you on before the committee meeting of the following week.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because right now, every little bit helps.
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
what we're looking at.
Absolutely.
And I think you're still working hard to get us a better rate.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And as early as I can get it in, I absolutely will.
Yes.
Again, I'm kind of at the mercy of the carriers
Right.
because I can't go negotiate without the initial.
But if you're
approval.
done,
That's
you're
kind of
done. But if you
yeah.
think you still got
Oh,
something,
yeah. Absolutely.
feel free to let them know.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing is, I know next week is the board meeting.
Right.
So in order to, if we're gonna do this the following week, which will be a committee meeting, we'll have to probably have a special board meeting so we can vote on it right then and there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I just wanna let you know that even though it's gonna be a committee meeting, I can make it into a board meeting
Okay.
and we can have a special board meeting just for that reason.
Okay.
And then go on with the committee meeting.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know it's pressure, but it's not pressure. So what I really want us to do, and you already know, is to get the best deal for us.
Absolutely. And that's what I will always do. I would always work hard for you. Absolutely.
And the only thing, and I was looking at the rates, a lot of them went up because of a lot of claims.
Yes.
And a lot of claims happened because of COVID. Nothing we can do about that, but it's it is what it is. It went down last year. We were glad, and
Yes.
no one. I knew it was going to eventually go up because that was an all-time low to drop that far down.
Right.
But now it went up, so we're going to hope, and I'm trusting that I know that you will get out there and
We'll always
whatever.
work hard.
Yes, the
Yes.
best deal. So.
And I will say, and I represent a number of clients
Yes,
in the
you
South
do.
Suburban region.
Yes, you do.
Your SIR at 100,000 is my lowest, except for my fully insured clients. And the only fully insured clients are your real small municipalities, right?
They can't afford the premium.
Right. They're the only ones that they even would consider doing the first, what they call a first dollar type coverage plan. 100,000, you guys were my lowest. Now you're almost getting up to par with what all the other municipalities are at. So we tried to hold on to that as long as we could until Liberty told us we couldn't. So
now
yeah,
everybody is
absolutely.
because of the COVID.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Gary, you had your hand up. Did you have a question? You have a question? Okay, Cliff, I appreciate it.
Well, as always, thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
humbled and honored to always represent you guys, and I'm going to continue to work, and I will be seeing you all next week, and hopefully I'll have a little bit better news. Maybe we can try to get some savings off here.
It's ongoing. Well, this is crunch time. This is like next 2 weeks, so
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Well, it takes a minute. Okay, next item, Director Anthony Finch.
Thank you, Mayor, Madam Clerk, Board. All right, the first item we're going to discuss is the changing of the fees to the community center. So in your packet, you have some proposal for the new fees. And the main reason we're trying to change the fees, increase the fees a little bit, is one, is to stay competitive to the surrounding areas. But two, more importantly, to get some additional funds in to update the community center. If you guys have been to other places that for birthday parties and whatnot, it has a little bit more appeal to it inside compared to what ours have with respect to the floors as well as the ceiling. So the increase is not that much, but it's still, like I said, comparable to the surrounding municipalities. And we would like to try to use some of that money to hopefully my goal was to do it this winter when it was kind of slow, but definitely by next winter to get in and do some updating to the community center with painting the floors as well as some nice attractive lighting that we currently do not have. So hopefully you guys had a chance to look through the contract. Also changed was some of the ways that individual residents can lose their deposits. Mainly was due to lack of cleaning, because right now we have not really fully enforced that, but going forward we would like to try to enforce that so that the individuals that rent these units know that if they leave it not clean, we will charge or hold back their deposit. Some of the simple things as like having graffiti on the floor, that's something we want to try to enforce, that they are not allowed to have graffiti, because if you have graffiti and you ever try to clean it up, it's all over the place and it takes a lot of time. Other than that, like I said, those are the main two things we're trying to change, is increasing the fees as well as enforcing the ways you lose your security deposits. Any questions on that portion? Okay. The next item is relating to the employee travel expense, with something that we had discussed a few weeks ago at one of the council meeting. On page number is this? Actually, 42, toward the bottom, is the current information that we have with respect to our employee handbook. What I would like to add in there as a modification, some language, and it can be changed as we work through the language, is something to the fact that all staff must attempt to use any available village vehicle to do any village-related business, such as running to the store to pick up supplies, pick up food, or going to the bank, or anything that relates to leaving Village Hall to go pick up something on a temporary basis that relates to the village needs. If by chance that there's a situation where we have to take cash to the bank and a village vehicle is not available, my second option would be to have the police department come take the money to the bank. The third option would be to leave the money in the safe and informing the mayor that the money left in the safe until hopefully the next day when there's a village vehicle that will be available. So I would like to modify this handbook to state that all employees that need to run to any store or do any village-related business, not training or conferences, but village-related business, must make an attempt to use a village-related vehicle before they use their personal vehicle. And if they do use their personal vehicle, get approval, sign off by the mayor or the village administrator first, and then with the understanding that that part will be reimbursed. With respect to cash deposit, use the village vehicle. If not, have the police department take the money to the bank. If that's not an option, the third option will be to leave it into the safe and then inform the mayor that the money is in the safe and take it the following day. Any questions?
Trustee Grant?
So page 42 and page 43 are from the current employee handbook.
Yes, this is from my understanding, the 2017 book, yes.
Can we get a copy of this? 'Cause I don't,
Yes.
I mean, it's been a while, so I've probably seen this. I don't even remember. It's been a while.
Yes, I have HR send you a copy, yes.
All right, thank you.
I have sent it to myself and I sent it to Madam Clerk. And see, you have it? Okay. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Bell?
Mr. Finch, is there a reason that, I don't know, that being that bank is on your way home, you can't drop money out?
Myself. I can, but if right now that I'm not in the finance department, I wouldn't have no need to touch cash.
You're still the treasurer, you're in the finance department, correct?
That's true. So that's not an issue if we take it to the bank, so no.
I'm just saying, you already have a village vehicle, so like two birds, one stone.
And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, technically, once he's off the clock, he's off the clock, and he's still, like, on official village business. Something happens when he's on his way home, it's just kind of sticky, right? I'm sure it's going to be after 5 o'clock. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather somebody, you know...
During the day?
Yeah, during the day, or when because if you're going to drop it off after 5 o'clock, banks close at 5, 6 o'clock, I believe, anyway. So what there's a chance you leave here late? You don't always leave here at 5 o'clock anyway on the dot. So what do you do in a situation like that?
Well, if need be, if the mayor direct me, I can drop it off during the day, because currently that's what's going on, just getting dropped off throughout the day before the end of shift.
Trustee Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree that it should be done during the daytime. I don't think it's right to tell anybody on their way home because things can happen. But also, when you said put it in the safe overnight and tell the mayor, who's responsible for it the time that the mayor was told it's in the safe till the next day? You know, we've had an instance where money was removed from the safe, and we still haven't gotten a report on what the final disposition of that was.
You said who responsible?
So if you're going to do it and say put it in the safe till the next day and let the mayor know, who's responsible like after that point?
Well, the way it's set up now, the cashier closed down the drawer, the senior accountant, let me take that back. The cashier closed down the drawer, either the senior accountant or the other staff sign off, confirm the balance. At that point in time, the deposits should be accurate. Mm-hmm. Normally, the senior accountant takes it to the bank. So if that person is not able to take it, so tonight, for instance, the money will get counted by 2 individuals. It will be put into the safe tonight anyway. In the morning, it will go to the bank. So for whatever reason, Wednesday morning, there's not a vehicle. I'm saying leave that money in the bank, in the safe. Wednesday morning, notify the mayor that that money is still in the bank, in the safe as of Wednesday morning. So that Wednesday evening, if it's not taken to the bank, we know as of Wednesday morning, it was put in the safe.
But we do know that throughout the course of the day, there's at least a code vehicle there. There's at least one vehicle there during the day. I don't really see that will be an issue.
It's just in case.
It's a just in case.
That's why it's the third option.
But we really want the money taken to the bank on a daily basis. Yes, thank you.
I understand we're trying to be transparent, but, I mean, we're saying, and it's recorded that we're doing this daily, and we're saying who's doing it or whatever. You know, let's try to just say, you know, it's going to be done in a timely manner. But if anyone knows who the person is that's in that position and they see that person outside, you don't know if they're going to the bank or not going to the bank, but it's the same person. So I'm just going to say that sometimes it may be that person, sometimes it may not be that person. And so just because I don't want to, you know, I'm just shaking my head that we're saying we're putting this out here in that instance, and I don't want nothing to happen. So the only thing we can look for is make sure that it is done on a timely basis. And as Anthony was saying, I don't want him to get people seeing this now, but when he gets off work, he may or may not have money with him. But he's going out to the parking lot, and you don't know what's going to happen. So we need to kind of pull back and just go and say, okay, whoever goes can use one of the village vehicles, but I'm trying to not to put personnel or anybody in jeopardy. That's mainly so. And it will be handled that way, that it will be deposited, but it may not be deposited. And I want to reiterate that it may not be deposited by the same person every day.
I think that we should have policies and procedures. People who are in positions right now to handle the bank, the money, the runs, should be the people that is appointed to do those things. We should make sure that this money is taken to the bank daily. It should be signed off on, so we can have accountability to who have the money last, who saw the money and all of that. I don't think that we should leave it to chance so that whomever at whatever time, possibly, maybe, this person and that person. I think that's why we're having such a difficult time following trails of who should do what with money, is because too many hands are in the pot. And so I think that we have staff that's hired to do those things, and that staff and that personnel, unless they are absent from work that day, they should be responsible for it, and their signature should be on the log. And if we need to have a substitute in their absence, then we will put a substitute in their place. But other than that, I don't think that we need to continue to operate without policies and procedures put in place. And that is how we move, and that is what we follow, because there's too many of us that have questions, and there's too many people we may have to go to have our questions answered. So policies and procedures, to me, is what we need to operate on. And that way, I don't think, because I keep hearing that money is missing, or money was misplaced, or money was lost, and no one knows who did it and where it went, and there's no accountability. This way we will have accountability, and we should have accountability. And that is my thought about this money, because it's money. And I think all of our disagreements and our thoughts is always focused on the money. Where's the money? Who had the money? And why we don't know what happened to the money. So if that is our bulk of our conversation, let's put policies and procedures together so we can make sure we can follow the money. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. Okay, what's the next? Are you through with that item, travel expense?
Yes.
Okay.
So the next one is the cleaning contract that has been discussed last few meetings. So with that, I did speak with the person that has the company. So what we're going to end up doing, because the jail cell, so what is going to happen is an RFP will be placed to put it out there to include a contract that does include the jail cell. So I hope to have that by the next committee meeting once the attorney looks at it, because the last RFP, as was mentioned, was very, very long and had a lot of extra stuff in there that didn't need to be in there. So I'm going to try to simplify it and bring that to the board hopefully by the next committee meeting, so that it can get out there, we can have a time frame for any proposals, and then get a cleaner company to come to Sauk Village that will clean the jail cell for the agreed upon price. I will say that the price probably would be an additional $800 more than what it currently is in the RFP. If there's any question in regards to that particular amount, then we can modify it however it needs to be, but it will include additional $800 compared to the current price right now.
Trustee Bell?
That's for the cells and the locker room?
Yes. And the RFP would be very defined. Like one of the things too, let me go back to the cleaning of the community center. Normally that's not part of the cleaning crew responsibility to like clean up glitter and stuff like that. It's more of a spot check the toilets, maybe a quick mop or something like that. But they have cleaned up glitter. But this RFP would be very specific onto what area is that person's responsibility. So it won't be, well, kind of what you mentioned last week, I cleaned the dais, but I don't have to clean the chairs. It'll be very detailed as far as, there won't be no question of what part of the buildings you have to clean.
Trustee Burgess?
You know, about maintaining the same company, just revising?
We're going to revise the contract, whoever bids on it at that price, and if it's decided to be two of them or more for the same price, then the board will decide which one of the companies they prefer.
Okay, and there's one question I had about the transportation with the bank, taking money to the bank. You did say that the people will be paid to do that now?
No.
Okay, so that will not be an option on the table, that this will be within your job description, period?
Yes.
And no additional funds?
Which is why you need to use
A
a
company
village-related vehicle. Yes.
Excellent.
Trustee Williams?
Didn't you say that if, in fact, they do have to go to the bank, they have to fill out a reimbursement? Where they need to get permission beforehand, before they go to the bank, and then fill out a reimbursement
That's the
form?
fourth option.
That's so that is, I just want to make sure Trustee Burns understands that. That is the fourth option, but that's the least option. After every other option has been explored, if a person does have to go to the bank, they have to get prior approval and then fill out the reimbursement form, and all reimbursement has to be handed in within 30 days in order for it to come before the board for approval. Is that correct?
Correct.
I just wanted to reiterate that.
So the first step would be a village vehicle, a police officer, leave it in the safe, and then the fourth option would be take your personal vehicle, but getting approval.
Do we have a determined amount of how much the reimbursements will be? If they have to
It's
use
based
a
on
person?
IRS knowledge.
It's based on
like,
knowledge?
I think it's 65 cents a mile. Yeah, it's
Okay.
whatever the IRS.
Okay.
You're welcome. Okay, so any questions about the contract, the cleaning contract?
And this is, right now, we're gonna continue to use the cleaners, the people who are cleaning now, right now, right?
Yes, with the exception, I must, you all know, with the exception of cleaning the jail cell.
Okay, so they have a contract that we've already agreed to. Is it possible that we could amend that by just adding a rider?
I checked into that, and that answer was no, which is why I have to do an RFP. We could not amend it, because now they're adding to a current contract.
Okay. So, are we gonna bring them back to the table, is what you're saying?
If they have the right to submit a new contract when we do the RFP, but yes, that's up to them. We're not saying they can't, but right now, we know going forward, they are gonna be paid based on their current contract. So once the RFP come out, they, like any other company, are welcome to bid on it.
And when is the termination of the contract?
It's a year, so maybe September. I can confirm that, but it's a year contract.
Trustee Grant?
It's November.
So question, so speaking of that, so before we put the new RFP out, technically the board has to terminate this current contract that we have. So when will that take place in relation to finishing up the RFP? That takes, I think you have to wait so many days after the RFP's been submitted and, you know, there's some time. So would there be a gap in time or we won't have any clean period?
No, I think when I present the RFP, at that point, we can give them 30-day notice to let them know at the end of 30-day notice, at the end of 30 days, they will have to submit a new contract to the board, because the RFP is going to allow for 30 days. It is like, I can't think of a date right now, but at a date and time, which would be 30 days from the time I post the RFP.
Right, so that 30-day notice you're going to give them technically is saying, hey,
That's RFP.
No, but I'm saying that 30-day notice you're going to give them is saying, hey, we are terminating your contract in order for you to go ahead and submit the bid for a new RFP, right? No. I'm saying, so how do we still have them under contract and then go submit an RFP and they submit a new bid? What happens to the old contract that they're already under right now?
If I'm not mistaken, we do have to terminate it.
Right, so we have to
But
terminate.
you said we. Go ahead.
Historically, as we look at last year, we didn't actually do the RFP process the way we normally would for this current company. However, the old company's contract was not canceled when we did whatever it was that we did for the current one. And at one point in time, they were both working at the same time. So just going by that, we will not, I mean, we have to give them the notice, but you don't have to terminate in order to go out for bid.
But I mean, giving them the notice, it's like, what notice are you giving them? What you giving
You're
them?
inviting them to submit a new bid. That's all you're doing.
Correct.
Right now. And they will be in sync with us until we finish the bidding process. They have 30 days after that. The only thing different that I would think is that this time, after you get the new person and/or if they rebid and they're successful, do not have the new company start on a new contract until after 30 days for the current contract to be over. Does that make sense?
No,
But let me say one thing. The old company was 30 days. The new company that we currently have, they was here, but they were specific to do the deep cleaning. So we had both of them here, but it was two different tasks. So the old company, we did give them a 30-day notice. That's why they ended, I think, whatever time they ended. But the new company was a deep cleaning. So they got paid separately outside of the current contract.
okay, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. So let's just say that we have the current company under contract right now through October, November, whatever it is. Let's say that they do not choose to submit another bid when we do RFP, and we get a new company, a new contract. We still have the old contract in place with the old company, right? So that 30-day notice that we're giving them, I think what everybody's saying is we're giving them 30 notice to say, hey, in 30 days, you can submit a new bid for a new contract, for RFP. But we're not saying, hey, in 30 days, we no longer need your services because we want you to submit a new bid for the new RFP. That's what I just want to make sure, legal reasons that we're doing things the right way, because it sounds like it can get
They won't be terminated, but they get notice that they can apply for the new RFP.
correct.
And if by chance we don't get anybody from the new RFP and they choose not to do the RFP, they will still be under the old contract until November.
Correct. I just sound like we need to at least run it by
I
corporate
will.
counsel.
Everything will go by the attorney. That's why I said hopefully in 2 weeks I'll have the RFP, which hopefully will give them time to review it and make sure everything is legally sound before we move forward and post it or anything.
Okay, I just want to, because I saw a couple people looking strange if by reason we don't get anyone to apply, because the last time we only had one person to accept the contract, yes, we will still be under the old contract, but without the things that was not in their contract, that they won't be doing. So either we'll have to pay extra or we'll have to do something else, but they will still be under contract until their contract expires. But we're giving them a 30-day notice that we are going out for bid. They're perfectly able, if they want to, do an RFP, and that's not a problem. So, but as far as, and I understand what you're saying, what's gonna happen if we don't get anyone, well, we'll still have the same, we'll still have the same company, but they'll be there until November, so we may have to go out for another RFP within that time frame. So, and it won't be the first time we went to multiple RFPs for the same thing. But we will still have someone to clean the village properties, well, the 3 buildings. Trustee Burns.
We just got a motion on the floor that the trustees will be willing to clean. I'm pretty good.
I bet you won't get a second on that one. Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, did I hear you say that we cannot amend the contract that's currently in place? You said we could not do that?
Right.
Legal said that?
Correct.
Okay, so we definitely have to go through the RFP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you go through the RFP, wouldn't you have a date on there when the new contract would start, if and when the bidding process takes place? It would take place after the 30-day period to terminate the previous one. They should work in sync.
I'm not terminating them.
Not terminate, but, okay.
Yeah, it will. The date on the...
Well, you are basically, you're terminating a contract from the previous cleaning service, but won't your RFP have a beginning date of X date?
Yes.
Which would give you the 30-day period to work out the difference between the termination period, whatever you want to call it, of the previous vendor.
Right. So we submitted May 1st. We have to turn in the paperwork by May 30th. At that point, let's just say the current company nor anybody else applies. So now we keep the current company as is. However, if a company applies that they will do the cleaning of the jail cell and the current company does not, then at that point we will let the current company know we are terminating your contract over the next 30 days. And the new company wouldn't start till like July 1st.
And that'll be made clear in the RFP that they wouldn't start until July 1st.
You wouldn't start till at least 30 days.
That's what I'm saying. As long as you put it in the RFP
after approval
specifically,
of the RFP.
then all that other stuff is negated.
Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we go back to the looking for a part-time custodian again?
I mean, you can if that's
Save a whole bunch of money, too.
Not necessarily. So, I mean, you can, but what do you consider part-time?
How long is it going to take to take clean 3 buildings?
You're gonna have one clock?
PD you do every day. How many,
You're gonna have
is
one
the village all
clock?
cleaned every day?
Yes, they do. No, they clean the police department every day. They clean
This is done every other
today.
day, 3 times a week here.
Yeah, 3 times a week, right, and then they clean the community center and the gym 3 times a week. So, if you want them to do the numbers, you can do that, but I'm just telling you that it's gonna be a little bit more, you know.
Any other question? Okay, the next portion is the financial update, and we can start the budgeting. I did meet with the department heads. They all have their budget actual as of January. They are currently been tasked to keep their budget in line with last year's budget, and anything above last year's budget, it would be a separate item to come to the board to ask for extra, because I am anticipating that our revenue from last year compared to this year will be down just due to property taxes and also ARPA money not being here in 2023. So I'm asking the department heads to keep that in mind. We have our first department head meeting to go over budget March 24th. So hopefully by the end, they will have a rough draft of what line items they want to do and how much that dollar amount would be. And then we can just get an idea of what things are going to look like at that point in time. As I mentioned last week, the budget actual, I have not gone through it and analyzed what is in it and what is not in it as far as revenues. I know there was some concern by one of the trustees with respect to property taxes. I have not analyzed that. That is something I would do as I transition into doing, meeting with the department heads to do the FY24 budget. So we're working on that part. The other piece is the audit. I did reach out to 2 audit firms.
Hold on just a second.
No, it's not with you guys. You're talking about March 24th? No, it's not with the staff. It's not with the trustees or the mayor. It's just with myself and the department heads. It's just with. Yes, I'm gonna try not to do Saturdays. Hopefully, we don't have to do Saturdays.
If that happens, this early.
But I'll let you know.
It may not happen as early as you think.
So, with the audit, I did reach out to 2 audit firms. Both of them are busy doing corporate tax right now. I have a third one that will hopefully get back to me by Friday. When I spoke with the gentleman, he said, the managing partner, that the earliest he could start would be March 13th to come in and assist us get the information ready for our current auditors, which is Baker Tilly. So from Baker Tilly's standpoint, the earliest that they could start, assuming we have all our stuff in place, would be mid to late April. So keep that in mind as well, as you guys inquire about where we at on the audit. Other than that, that's all we can do at this point. I do know that the staff is currently working on completing their particular task that they was assigned prior to February. So they're working on that as of today. And I know they're in different section that they're working on starting tomorrow, so that should be going forward. And just trying to get as much done as we can before we can even present anything to the current audit firm. Other than that, there's other notable notes. As you guys know, with the situation in the finance department, it is kind of tense going right now. We have a lot of things moving. We was in the process of trying to turn off water starting the 1st of April. I don't know how that's going to proceed with everything within the finance department because we do have the staff at the front that are also helping with the audit, so I don't want to inundate them with residents coming in concerned about their water bill at the same time while they try to work on the audit. So we got a lot of issues that we have to work out as far as balancing the workload. I know there's a challenge with some of the staff being able to work late or on the weekends. So as I work with them and talk to them, we'll try to figure that out as well. So other than that, that's pretty much the update that I have with our finances.
Trustee Jazinski.
What are we doing to replace our finance director?
Right now, that's currently on hold.
Are you going to help with the audit?
Right now, not really.
Because at one point, the mayor didn't want to hire a village administrator, and he said he was here every day and he could handle the day-to-day. I think the mayor should handle the day-to-day duties, and then you help with the audit so we can stay on track with it.
Well, that's a conversation I'll have to have with the
Yeah,
mayor.
he said he could do.
Okay.
You,
Okay.
that's what you did.
Okay. Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Earlier you said you were talking to auditing firms. Did you mean accounting firms?
Yes.
Yes,
accounting
okay.
firm.
So you're working with accounting firms specifically to come in and help us get through with the audit,
Yes.
right? Okay, I agree with Trustee Jazinski. We need to post that finance director position because we need to get a paid staff member in the finance department. I mean, we know we have to get through the audit and we have to get through the budgeting, but we still have to do, like you said, the water billing and everything else, day-to-day operations in the finance department. And if you could be freed up to take the lead on the audit and the budget, that would be great, but that would mean that someone else would have to handle the finance department. We need a paid staff member. We need a paid staff member that we can rely on to be here and that we can talk to like a staff member as soon as possible, Mr. Mayor. When do you see that happening?
For finance director?
Yes. When can we post for that?
Right now, like I said, we're in the midst of trying to get this audit and budget done. And as I stated before, and I'll state it again, we need somebody, because whoever comes in, as the finance director, has got to come in and try to learn or try to decipher or try to even go over what it is that's been going on. That's why I had made a suggestion, but they threw the suggestion down, so okay, fine. But whoever it is that comes in, they come in now in the middle of an audit, in the middle of a, because they won't have time, someone won't have time to train that person or show that person, because they'll be doing the audit, and then also someone's going to have to put the budget together. So it was a bad time to get rid of someone, and then you get ready to do these different things. So right now, whoever it is, or whatever person that comes in, is going to be faced with that same dilemma that I had already talked about. So.
But Mr. Mayor, I wasn't recommending that the new finance director that is hopefully going to be hired in the near future take on the audit and the budget. I think the recommendation is Mr. Finch has experience with both the audit and the budget for Sauk Village.
You're willing to do the audit and the budget, Mr. Finch?
Take over the day-to-day.
No,
let's talk about the financials right now.
Are you able to take over the audit and the budget?
And do what I'm doing now?
No.
If I take something off my plate and replace with that, the answer is yes. If I don't take nothing off my plate, the answer is no.
Most important right now is our finance department. I have some notes that I made over the course of the last couple of days that I would like everybody to get a copy of. This is very telling. We've been told for several months that the audit, you can go that way. Mr. Finch, can you go that way? We've been told for several months that the audit was in process, and that the audit was getting started in December, in January, in February. At this point, at some point, we were told that the audit would actually be done by March. Now we're being told that we don't even have the bank recs, as far as I know. I've been asking for months, where are we with the bank? One of the things that was stated in some of this research that I did was that the bank recs are the very beginning of your audit. Without your bank recs, you can't even start the audit. And every time I keep asking, where are we with the bank recs, I get no answers. No answers whatsoever. The other day, a meeting where I actually was told that we are missing a bank statement from July of 2020, and we're doing that year's audit. And this is March of 2023, and we don't have, on a small account, a bank statement from July of 2020. You cannot even start the audit until you have the bank recs in place. And then there's the other financials. So my point is, why can't I get an answer of where we are with the bank recs? Because you can't even do the audit without the bank recs. And it really concerns me, because in that same meeting, again, as we have got letters from in the last few weeks, there's accusations of cash being missing and the cash not tying in with the financials. This is very concerning to me. And I think the sooner that we get somebody else in the finance department, and I think we need to get some eyes on the finance department, okay? Because what's been stated by two different individuals about misappropriation and money being stolen, and they use the word theft in their letters, I'm very concerned about that. So I think, Mr. Finch, I would prefer, since you already have the experience in the finance department, if you could handle the budget and the audit. And I also heard that our front desk staff is also working in the finance department. We've got like 5 different people working in the finance department right now. I don't see how you have any control, how you have any continuity in that. To me, it's very confusing in a situation that's already hazardous. We have different people doing different things on a daily basis, and now we're pulling people from the front desk to do. Somebody really needs to take a lead on this, and I don't think it would be a new person that we just hired.
Well,
and it's going to take a while. Excuse me for cutting you off. It's not like we're going to get a new finance director that we put in an ad in the paper tomorrow and we get one next week. We know that's a problem, but that process should be started soon, in my opinion.
Well, again, if that's what tasked for me to do, then something else has to come off my plate. So I will take whatever the mayor of the lead is, that's for what he wants me to do, and I'll just follow that. So if that's what I'm asked to do, then something else come off my plate. If not, I continue to do what I'm doing now. So that's up to you guys and the mayor.
So if I still have the floor, yes, that's what personally I'm hearing some of the trustees say, and I know I personally am, but most importantly, we need to know, when are we going to post the position? And then you said you have another accounting firm that you're still looking into to come in and give you some help with the audit. These audits are way past due. They need to be done. The bank recs need to be caught up to date. Our finances, we need to rein in these finances. It's ridiculous how far behind we are with the finances. And now we got 4 or 5 different people doing different things in the finance department that they don't have really the experience from doing this in the past. So could you please update us every 2 weeks? I'd like to see finance updates on the agenda every 2 weeks. And within the next 2 weeks, can you aggressively see what you can do about getting help from an accounting firm to do the audits?
Well, I would hopefully know the last one that I talked to by Friday.
By Friday?
If his firm can come in on the 13th.
Okay, and how soon we're going to post the finance director position, where you're going to be posting it, because I know that there's places specifically to post for this position that brings in qualified people with municipal experience.
I will confirm with the mayor as well as HR.
Okay, and if you're bringing one of the front desk people in to help with the finance department, do we still have the customer service position open for the front desk? I know that was a position that was open for a while.
Currently, we have 2 people up there now, so no.
There is no customer service position. Is it possible to bring the young lady who's doing the accounting from the front desk that's helping you with the finance department? Is it possible to bring her into the finance department and replace that position, which is a little bit easier to replace?
Not now, because technically that position is not in the fiscal year budget, as far as the position. And then if we do that, we just have 1 person up front, which again, that's going to be work overload on that 1 person. So it's like I said earlier, it's a balancing act to still do what we got to do in the back with finances and also run at the front.
But we do have 1 salary.
At least for now, I think, first of everything that happened in the last year or 2 years, the finance, the front office, I should say, is stable, and we are minimizing any complaints from residents. And I personally wouldn't want to see that disrupted, because we work hard to get it at least where there's a relationship between the residents and the front office.
I'm glad to hear that, though. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are you coming? Yeah, I thought he was here. Okay, we're waiting on, I'm sorry. We'll move right along. Trustee Rita Burns, Public Services Proposed Events.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees, Madam Clerk, residents. Okay, this is actually something that we've already voted on to the residents and to the board. This is something we've already voted on, which is the Sauk Village Fest. We're just bringing it back to the board because now we have some structure to it. It was never canceled. It was only postponed for June. So we had a budget for it. The budget still exists, so we still have the funds. We don't need to ask for any additional funds or any additional monies. The difference is that with the monies that we originally asked for, it was going to include 1 fest. I am proposing that I can do 4 festivals with the budget that I have now. I think that Sauk Village, just like inwards and outwards with the residents, we need to get ourselves out of the homes. The thing about Sauk Village and us as residents, we go to work, and because there's absolutely nothing for us to do, there's no activities for our children, there's nothing, we go home, we go to work, and we never come back out. And the only time we come out, we don't come out to be in our village. We come out to go to other people's village. We go out to other people's events, and we go out to other people's functions. So we go out to other people's grocery stores and shopping centers. So everything about Sauk Village, we are leaving our village, taking our village's resources to other people areas. And so we know that the common denominator and the common ground for people is to get out the house and get among each other. And the best way to do that is through the universal language of entertainment, family, and friends. And so I'm proposing that June 17th, I would like to bring Sauk Village family and friends and Parade Festival. It'll be the Father's Day and Juneteenth weekend, and we will do a parade through the village, which is already mapped out with the fire chief and the police department, so we would use the same route. So it would be nothing changing there. But we will honor our fathers. We will honor our American descendants of slavery, our legacy as a people, and we will do that together as a village. So that's number one. I would love to propose that. We're going to also add to that a Father's Day cookout barbecue contest. We already have entertainment for that. Number one, we have Mr. Bullet Entertainment Organization. He's been in business since 18, all right now, bring him on. He's been in business since 1985. He's well established and very well versed in entertainment. He will be the company that will provide our stage, which we already have quotes for. I believe the stage on the last event we had was $20,000 upwards. I have gotten this man to do our stage for $9,000. So with that, I can get a stage for every single event is already confirmed. Y'all can clap to that. Anybody want to clap to that? All right, thank you. We got one. Okay, so we have a stage for every event already confirmed. It's the stage, the lighting, the whole crew. So we're good there. Insured, all of the above. So we're good. We have entertainment. Now what I don't want to do, I don't want to have a lot of all the different acts coming through. So we have Mr. Taman's Bullet. We're going to have Motown. We're going to have Stevie Wonder. Now, these people are universal to all of our different ethnic groups in Sauk Village. We can all get down to Motown, and we can all get down to Stevie. Am I right? Because I know I can. But nonetheless, they are already in the budget, already done. That's the first one. And then we want to bring our Sauk Village, first time ever, Sauk Village House Music Fest. The first one wasn't a house music fest, it was just house music DJs. But we want to do just what Park Forest is doing. Every June, the end of June, they have their house music fest. Sauk Village can now have our own house music festival. That's July 1st and 2nd, which would be the 4th of July holiday weekend. Acts are already there, DJ contracts are already in place, everything is already settled. And then I want to introduce to Sauk Village the very first all-white dinner party. Elegant, it will be ticketed, so we will bring revenue back into the village. But it will be an all-white, end of summer, elegant outdoor dinner party. And it will be off the chain. Beautiful. We've never done it, and I think that the villagers will be ecstatic about doing something that is so elegant in their community. And last but not least, I want to include every department head, including the library. I want us to make a joint effort to do one big giant back to school festival. We don't need to have a lot of little bitty festivals. Let's go full swing, full throttle, and get all of our efforts into making one back to school gigantic school festival the weekend of Labor Day, September the 2nd. Stage is already ready. Entertainment is already ready. We got everything ready to go. We don't need anything else. Let's just do these 4 festivals, and this will be considered Sauk Village Summer Series Festival. And we can do this, you guys, every single year. Let's give our village a face. Let's give our village a voice. Sauk Village needs a voice, and the voice is through our summer series. And we're going to work on a full-fledged summer camp for our residents. We can do it. It's already done. Let's do it. And this is something I know that we can all join and band together. I don't just have to convince anyone up here, but I'm sure that our residents will go home and tell their people about Sauk Village finally having having a voice. And we don't have to keep going outside of us, outside of each other, to look for our voice. Let's create our own voice right here in our village. We have the resources, the budget is already approved, let's make it happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I will, my computer is with Geek Squad. I would have had it all printed up, but it died. So hopefully the trustees can get a device, a laptop, where I don't have to always do Sauk Village's work on my personal computer, because there's a lot of work on my personal computer, and so it did die. It did crash, so I had to take it in. But again, 4 festivals on the budget that has already been approved. So you're getting 4 for the price of 1. Let's go.
Okay. Trustee Grant?
Thanks, Mayor. So, Trustee, love your enthusiasm.
Questions?
Yeah, questions, few questions. So you mentioned how the budget was already passed, already approved. So yeah, so last year we did agree to have a music fest. It didn't happen. We did raise some funds. I forgot exactly how much. I think it was like $8,000 or something that we raised for the fest. But we do have to, so just because it was approved last year doesn't mean that it's going to automatically happen this year, but we do have to put it back in the budget, and we do have to make sure that like the trustees still are in agreement to do it again this year.
Okay, there is a lot, but the money is there. I've already checked. There is a line item for that budget. It has not moved. It has not been allocated for anything else, because it can't be allocated for anything else because it was already voted on. So that line item is there. The concert was never canceled. Remember, it was only postponed till June. So now we're doing our job to continue the planning for a postponed concert that was scheduled for June, and we're on target to do that.
Right. So I just want to let you know, so if we decide to, when we go through this budget cycle, if the majority of the board say, oh, we need to come up with $30,000, and they say, oh, the first thing we're going to go for is the festival funds, I'm just saying that's a possibility. I'm just saying, I don't want you to think that it's automatically going to happen just because last year we budgeted for it. Now, we want it to happen, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that is a possibility that if we have to make budget cuts or whatever, that might be, some of that expense might not be there.
Well, I'm not following you. You're talking about a budget that's already in existence, a budget that has already been passed. I'm not speaking of anything new. I'm speaking of something that's already, a budget that's already.
Right, so
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
So once May 1st gets here, technically we have a new fiscal year, so we have a new budget.
Okay.
So every year we get a new budget.
I understand.
So once we get the new budget, that doesn't necessarily mean everything transfers over, because we have a lot of things that we didn't do in this year's budget that's not going to happen next year, and vice versa. So I'm just saying, I don't want you to think that it's automatically going to happen just because we voted on it. Now, we want it to happen, to my point earlier, but I just want to point that out. And the second thing is, when you mentioned how we already have, I think you said DJs and contracts in place or something like that. Now, contracts in place, that's something that has to come to the board first, that we all have to vote on. So, are you saying that we actually have, I guess I can call it, entertainment that's already been secured in an amount that was agreed to?
No one has been secured because, of course, we will have to secure them with down payments. But we do have proposals on the table. And so all of those proposals will be brought to the board. I just want to speak one to let the board know, and the audience and the residents know, that these festivals we're picking up, like we said that we would. So we are on schedule to make sure that this happens starting in June. As far as the new budget coming up, I do anticipate having the proposals and everything signed off on by the board and everyone before May. So we can take care of all of that before the new budget is even brought up, settled before May. So everything is looking really good, and everything is on schedule.
Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Trustee Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Trustee Grant, are you saying when it comes to this year's monies, this year's budget, with the monies that are in this year's budget, we can't move them over to next year? Are you saying that?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that you can't move it over. I'm just saying that just because it was in last year's budget doesn't mean it just automatically transfers to this year's budget. Like, we will have to make sure that it's back in the budget this year, you know, just like formally. It just doesn't, like, you know, just happen just because it didn't happen last year. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so since it didn't happen last year, and the monies is there, correct? Okay, so then what, do we have to vote on it to be transferred from one year to the next?
I mean, yeah, like, you know, every year we have the budget meetings, right? And we sit here and we say, all right, well, Public Works, they need this, from Fire Department needs this, et cetera, or we want to do a concert. And so, yeah, we every year we go through that process and we say, all right, we'll do a festival this year, we'll make sure that Public Works gets this year. Like, we do that every year. So, we've always done it.
Any other questions? Any other, Trustee Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so you said for $9,000, you've already secured the stage for all 4 events. That's a total of $9,000 or per event? Per event. Okay, because you talked really fast. I know you're excited and it all sounds really great, but I have to ask some questions because I need to know.
Yes, please.
So $9,000 per event, that's to set it up, tear it down, plus the lighting, everything that's including putting the entertainers up there. Right? That's what you're saying. Okay, per event. Okay, because it sounded like you said for all of them, meaning one price. And second of all, I think what the other thing is, you said contracts in place. That's already been discussed. We won't even have a budget passed. I don't think. I'm pretty sure not by the middle of June. So it's kind of hard to say that we're going to expend money in the middle of June in a budget that we haven't passed yet. However, because some funds were allocated or promised from last year, I don't see any problem with the June event because it's something that we already said we were going to do. But you have to be cautious. We haven't even gotten to our budget to actuals yet. If you look at that paper I passed out to you earlier, it shows you how we've ended up in deficits year after year for several years. So our budgets end up in deficits. So that's why we have to carefully review when we're getting ready to do something where we are with our current budget. So I think that we need to explore the first event first. Okay, and I know you said your computer broke down, so you'll have some paperwork for us. But what I'd like to see on the reverse side of that is I'd like the finance department to show us how much did we already spend last year, because we did do some things. We did the Oktoberfest, okay, and we spent some money that we could not recoup from, you know, various vendors or entertainers or whatever. That, you know, there were some costs to last year. So what I'd like to see from the finance department is how that breaks down. Okay, what was spent last year out of the budget that was already allocated, okay, and what we possibly have to move forward with the June event. And then hopefully by the time you're talking about doing all that this summer in a manner of 8 to 10 weeks, and
Yes.
be honest with you, I don't know when the budget's going to get passed, so.
Well, again, the budget's already passed. I'm not dealing with any additional budgets or the new budget, which is scheduled to start in May or June, like you said, for the new budget. I'm dealing with the current budget. And so I know that we can schedule our work for the festivals all the way with the budgeted money that we already have and has already been approved. We can go ahead and use our money for the purpose of the festivals, and we can go ahead and just do that. So we're not dealing with any new budgets. We're dealing with the old budget, and we're dealing with the current budget, and we're dealing with the monies that has already been approved.
Okay, so like I said, I would like to hear from the finance director or finance department how much we spent last year, and out of funds we didn't get to recoup.
Correct.
Okay, and the Oktoberfest and the other costs that we did have.
Mm-hmm.
We did incur some costs last year. Those would have to be a deduction. We can't move forward with the brand-new budget, in my opinion. I don't know. We need to talk to the finance director. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But we did have costs last year. We
No,
didn't-
I've already
It was postponed.
Yes.
But some things did happen.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
what
it
you're
wasn't
saying.
100% postponed. Some
Yes.
things did happen.
Yes, I
So
understand.
by the
I
time you
understand.
get your paperwork together, perhaps we can have, I know the finance department's overwhelmed right now, but before we could move forward, I'd like to see that report and have the finance department tell us where they think we can get this done for the June event, starting with that event.
Okay, so I have been in contact with the finance department. That's how I'm able to bring this to the board right now. We do understand that there was a $65,000 budget, and what has been spent out of the $65,000, there's a remainder. And with that remainder of the current budget, not a new budget, I know you're saying, you keep saying a new budget, that's what's confusing me, because I'm not dealing with the new budget, I'm dealing with the current budget that has already been passed, and the monies that is in that budget is available for us to use and plan our events forward.
The reason I keep saying the new budget, Trustee Burns, is because our budget does end the end of April. This
Okay.
budget does end, it expires, it's done.
Okay.
And then we come back to the table, and the budget will look pretty much the same at the beginning, and then we discuss what we're going to do moving forward. And that's where the new budget, it starts May 1st.
I understand
So that's
that.
what I'm saying. When I say old and new, I'm just trying.
I know, but you keep saying something to me about a new budget. I don't want to talk about the new budget. I only talk about the budget that we have on the table and on the floor now that has already been passed and that is already available to us now. Again, all of this will be done and executed before the new budget is in place. So I don't want to get ahead of myself.
New budget.
Well, I said before the new budget is in place. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So I don't want to talk about new budgets. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to stay with the budget that we have on the table now. So I'm new, y'all, so don't put too much on me that I can bear. So let me just deal with the budget that has been approved, the budget that has been passed, the budget that exists right now, with what we're trying to do. I'm only dealing with the budget now, nothing more and nothing less.
Okay.
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, you're correct that it was postponed. There were some expenses that were incurred. I didn't hear the numbers. I've heard your numbers, what you said you would be able to do not per event. It was just per stage. Now, I don't know what the other numbers will be. I will need you to go back and find out of the money that was voted out for that festival last year, how much is left? Oh, you do have, okay, I appreciate you telling me, but, if you can see it in writing, because that's what we're going to go back, because I've had two people tell me, I didn't say that. So.
The director needs to make sure that you.
Okay, I just need to have that in writing, and the next thing is how much right now, since that's there, how much right now you would need to deposit or whatever to get things done, and what it would take. In other words, if we give, or if it's $8,000 or $9,000, what does that entail? I'm sure if it's just the stage, it needs to be written just the stage. And then thirdly, if there's any contracts that you have to go to, they have to be brought to the board so it can be voted on. So those are the three things that would need to be done sooner rather than later. And then the last thing, we do have a computer here in the village hall. Okay, that computer does work, but we're gonna see what it is and find out what's wrong, because it has a computer and it also has a printer. So there's something wrong with it. That's news to me, because the last time I heard about it was working. But we'll make sure that it does. I'll get on that tomorrow. So those are the things that I need to see. Those are things I need to see before, and the board would too, just before you move forward. It's not that we don't, we're not saying no. It's nothing like that. I said no last time because of what happened. This time you have something it's going to be a lot less But here's my thing, don't, and it's just a word of advice. Okay, you got $47,000, you say you have. 44,000, don't spend 44. Because you don't know what your cost overruns are gonna be at the last minute. So you should kind of hold back on that and bring that. You may not be able to do 4 things, maybe do 3. So, you know, it's just that when you deal with that, especially dealing with people, okay, I said I would do it, but you know something, because it happened last year with the stage. That's what happened.
Yes.
That's why everything got, you know.
Yes, and that's why I did my homework, Mayor, because I was here and I did see what happened. I was actually on that committee last year, and it was really, really not good. And so tonight is informational purposes only, to let you guys know that I have done my homework, and these people are ready and they have secured prices. We don't have to worry about any of that.
No, I'm just saying, just want to make sure that you, see, when you put things in writing and you put it on paper, people can't back out, because here it is right here. But if you talk about it and then they come back and tell you, oh, well, wait a minute, I need this. So that's what I want you to do, is bring that back, and let them know, and let the board know exactly how much you have, because these questions are going to be asked.
Yes.
How much you have. And then if you need contracts, like you said, you want to get them signed early.
Yes.
And then this way we can hold them and they can hold us. If they said they're going to do it for X amount, because you're asking for a really demanding time in June and July, that's where everybody does stuff. And so, you know, it's in high demand. So if you can tie it up right now, that's great. And if you can make it happen that quick, that's great too, but usually it takes a year, so. Okay. No, she has 4 things written on her. Right. No, I was saying that she had 4 things she wanted to do. And I was saying maybe she may not be able to do all 4. She had 4 things that she wanted to do, and you know, because back to school wasn't on here, but it is something she wants to do. So that's what I was saying. She had 4 things, but I'm just saying she may not be able to get all 4.
Exactly, I understand that, Mr. Mayor. She has you were giving advisement.
Yes.
You said there are 3 things you need her to do, and I only got you 1 of them.
Get a contract.
Okay.
Get whatever that's in the finance department or on the ledger in writing. How much money is there? And then the 3rd thing would be to make sure that whoever she talks to or whatever, that she gets that in writing to anybody that's going to promise something. Are you done? No? Oh. All righty, moving along, Director Cooper, Sauk Trail, Torrance Avenue Corridor Study, revisited, and Sauk Trail and Torrance Avenue, I'm sorry, RFP, and then Torrance Avenue Study.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Clerk, Board of Trustees, department heads, guests. The reason that I am here, again, Board, is to bring clarification to the resolution that we discussed a couple of weeks ago for vote, and would like to bring that back because it was actually prepared by Amber on late Friday, so the board didn't have access, so we want to bring this back, and then also clarify, after talking to Alex Waltz from RTA, there is a 5% match for this grant. So the most that we would pay would be, it would be up to 5% of $165,000, so that would be $8,250. So that would be the most that we would pay. I still believe that it's a pretty good opportunity for the village, if the board believes the same. And the reason that I say that is because we do need to address the safety of Torrance Avenue, because there has been some accidents there. You know, we may not hear about them all the time, but there has been some people clipped, walking alongside the road, and then it's late, there is no street lights barely, you know. And so I think that this would be a good study to help us get to a point where we could leverage the study for future grant funds for the implementation process, because they will be delivering an implementation plan as well as a study. So I'm hoping that, you know, the board will see the value in this study.
Trustee,
Yes, good evening, Director Cooper. Question. Now, when you say Torrance, you mean right here on Torrance?
Yes. So
Walgreens and Torrance there?
absolutely, yes. So that will be part of the study. So it's going to be on Torrance Avenue from Lincoln Highway to Sauk Trail, and then it'll be from Sauk Trail from Torrance Avenue to Cottage Grove. So that's where the study will be planned to bring in infrastructure, sidewalks, street lighting, and also pedestrian and bicycle paths too as well.
Bicycle path. Do people really use that?
Well,
Yeah.
just think about it. Even with the concert coming, you know, they make it easier to get there.
Right.
And I'm gonna be honest, and I think that we do need this also too, with you also saying that, and I'll get to you too, Trustee, I'm sorry. But for the simple fact that that when we had the job fair here in August, the mayor was here, the clerk was here. Honestly, it was a tragedy for those people that are looking for jobs that couldn't get here. You know, the ones that may have needed it. If we probably had bike path, or easier to walk, or easier to get public transit here to the village, you know, people could have took advantage of jobs that were paying $40 an hour with 2-year internships and, you know, apprenticeships. So, and I mean, all of the top, you know, companies that partner, the subcontractors for Night Court Gas, and all of these other utility companies, Mayor can tell you, they were all here. The clerk can tell you she was here.
comment. But now, what I was going to say to you is, this is just for the study. This is not, you know, for them to actually do the work. This is the study, and that's what this is for. RFP, so they can go out for RFP to get someone to come in to bid for that. But that's the study, and we do need, if you can pull it off, we need lights on on Sauk Trail on the other side of 394. You get ready to put a sidewalk or a walk path or whatever going from 394 to Cottage Grove is totally dark.
Yes.
Unless you have lights on some of the properties that are there. So this is just a study. And then Torrance Avenue, yes, they use Torrance Avenue a lot. So it's something that, you know, once they get that and then they can secure payment, that'll be a win-win for the village any kind of way. If we can get especially lights.
This is not the same study that the engineering company, because I heard that they're doing a study for Sauk Village as well. Robinson, they're doing a study as
Robinson,
well?
not for this. This.
Okay.
Right now, this is the company, Robinson Engineering had a chance, they put in a bid for it. This is the company that actually won the bid. And what they're going to do is get an RFP, and then they're going to go out for bid to have the construction company actually do it, and they would monitor them.
Okay. And this company right here, this is Robinson?
No.
No. Who is this company?
This is RTA, so it'd be an intergovernmental agreement between two.
Regional Transportation, yeah, RTA, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, RTA. Okay, RTA. So we're doing a study with RTA.
Yes.
This is the RTA study. And so our portion would be $8,250.
5% of the study amount.
Of the study only.
And RTA was going to probably fund most of it.
Yes.
Because that's their bus line.
Okay. Okay, so, all right, so they'll probably take on this bill themselves after we pay the $8,000.
Well, we'll see. We'll see after that. But right now, you have to have a study have to have an engineer study before you do anything. Trustee Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, cool. Also, this will be in conjunction with the other path from the woods down to 23rd Street. They're all going to tie together. And I
Yes,
think
sir.
this would be, there's no lights involved in that, correct?
There's no
That's what
lights.
this would do,
Yes,
is put the
sir.
lights up.
That's correct. There's no lights involved in
In that
Old
first-
Plank Trail
Yeah,
study.
no plank trail.
Yeah,
And
and
this will be the lighting for that.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. And there's a lot of great things happening with that. The Old Plank Trail Road, study too.
This is not
So you
the,
know,
okay.
But it's totally different, but
Yeah,
they
this,
do.
this is totally different, because
Yes,
the other
sir.
one goes down Cornell to 223rd, all the way down to Burnham Avenue.
Yes,
So this is two separate.
yes, right. They're two separate ones, yeah.
Wait, no lights involved in nothing right now, in terms of,
Yep.
but not on the old plank one going down 23rd Street.
Didn't he just say before that this project is going to go all the way to Cottage Grove?
Yes.
It's gonna go to Cottage Road.
So, and so is Old Plank Trail.
Okay, but
And I'm sure it's
the
gonna be the
trail
same
stops. It stops at
Cottage Grove.
Cornell. No, stop coming back east. It stops at Cornell Avenue, and then goes down to 223rd Street, and then all the way over to the
Right, so
forest.
come down over, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both of them are asking for lights down
Uh-huh,
Sauk Trail.
yeah. And
Trustee Coleman?
Yeah. Just one, two, recap question. So this study is required for grant approval, correct?
Yeah, I would say, I won't say required, but I would say it would increase our chances of receiving grant funds and being able to work with RTA on the grant. And then it'll give us also, because this probably won't be happening until like 2024. And we won't have to make the payment until then too. I know Trustee Jazinski was saying that too about the budget. So the payment for this grant portion, our portion, won't come until 2024. But this will give us an opportunity, I think, to leverage funds that we can partner with RTA on, and partner with Cook County and partner with the Old Plank Trail study. Even just like Trustee Bell was saying, because when we talk about lighting, with the Old Plank Trail study, they're actually exploring, and I know we talked about a bridge coming across the expressway, but actually they're doing a tunnel. And so, it'll be a tunnel for the trail, for the Old Plank Trail when it comes through there. And so, it would provide synergies for that study too. So if we can do lighting, through the tunnel and make it nice and safe, I think that would be a good thing.
And also you have on page 5 of this study, a scope of services, you have a steering committee. That would
Yes.
involve the community.
Absolutely, yep. And I would encourage, if you, the board, decide that you want to move forward, to join the steering committee.
So let's say all the ideas we have, such as one I have, is possibly we could have a bike kiosk.
Yeah,
Because
yes,
there's a lot
sir.
of people that are walking
Yes, sir.
back and forth to the stores, and they carry them bags, and, I can
Yes.
imagine how stressful that is. So I'm talking about, for the steering committee, an opportunity to suggest that we have a bike kiosk. Not just bikes, but the ones that have the crates on them.
Oh, yeah.
Other
I think
ones-
it's a great idea.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, I agree with that.
I think it also would be a good idea that when we're doing these studies and we have these different areas that we want to redevelop, if we can sometime go on a field trip. Like we can take the trustees on a field trip
Yes.
there and give us an idea, let us be able to walk or drive the area so we all have an idea and a picture of what you're saying. Because I'm seeing Cornell and Old Plank Road, and you're talking about a bridge and underpath and
Yep.
bike trails. And so it will, and then Sauk Trail and then 394. So you're saying a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to picture in my mind what you're, this circle. And so sometimes it's good if we can go on a field trip
Oh, yeah, I appreciate
and
you saying
actually
that.
get
Yeah.
visuals of what it is that you guys are presenting to us.
Yes.
So it won't seem so strange. We're trying to kind of figure out in our head what it is that you're saying.
Okay.
It sounds wonderful, and like the mayor said, and everyone, I'm sure we need it, but I would like to see, give me a vision of what it is that we're trying to work on.
Absolutely. No, I
So
think
can you
that's
plan
great.
a field trip with us?
Yeah, we could actually do that. They actually did do a field trip. Civil Tech did a field trip, and they brought a charter bus and, took everybody around. Of course, we really didn't get to participate in it, since we're really short-staffed and stuff. But I wish we would have been able to do that. But I'm pretty sure that we could probably schedule another one. I think that's a good idea. We could reach out to Civil Tech. That's the engineering firm that we hired for the Old Plank Trail Road study. So.
Yeah, because if we're going to
I think
make a
it's a good
task
idea.
force, then
What I was gonna tell you is, when this stuff gets started, who did I say it was? RTA, right? They're gonna provide transportation, and they're gonna provide, probably one of those small buses for people that wants to go see what's going on. That's not hard to do. We can do that on maybe a Saturday or Friday, whatever day they deem necessary. Yes, they're gonna want you to see it. I know you wasn't around when they did another, not them, but it was another study that was done in the village, and we had a lot of people that came in, residents, and they had storyboards here. And then we had some on the other side too. So those are some of the things that's gonna happen. They're gonna have committee, they're gonna have meetings. RTA is definitely gonna have meetings. That's your tax dollars too. You pay for the RTA. So yeah, that would be something that they would be most probably definitely want to do, to let you see, who's going to, what they're going to do, and what they would like to do. And then you can also, when you go to, especially that's what the steering committee is for. You can go there and input your interest. They get enough input, they may change some of the things. So that's why it's so good to have a steering committee, because there's some things that they may not have thought about that you're going to say.
Thank you, Trustee.
Okay, is that, so what, let me ask you, what are you're asking to have the resolution approved
Yes,
next week?
yes.
Does anybody have any questions on that? Because I'll put it, we'll have it on the agenda, that's the resolution that's at the back of your page, to have it, authorize it to have it approved. So, no questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, let's put that on the agenda. Uh-oh.
do have a question. Okay, so we want the resolution to be on the table for approval next week. This particular item will be in, obviously, next year's budget, the budget coming up? Or are we talking about doing something out of this current budget?
Well, this is a study. And right now, all we're obligated to do is put 5% up of the $165,000, which is
Correct.
around $8,000.
Correct, so are we...
That's it.
Are we talking about making that a next year's budget item, line item?
Well,
Because it's not budgeted for this year.
Okay, it is not.
Definitely.
But yeah, more than likely it will have to be, because, but you don't know what else is, I mean, this is just a study.
Correct.
So there may be other things that may come down the pipeline as they go through this. This is gonna probably take them a couple of months to get everything done, at least to get the RFP together.
Okay, so if this is not going to come out of this year's budget because it wasn't budgeted, and it's going to come out of next year's budget, is there a deadline as to when we have to have this decided upon?
You know what? They want us to hopefully approve the resolution for the next board meeting, but this won't be, this payment won't be required until 2024.
Okay, so it will be required.
Yeah, so it's a long way off now, for now.
Okay.
And also, so you can know, you're gonna be a trustee, so you can know. I'm always looking for other ways to get money.
Right.
So, from 394 to Cottage Grove, that area right there is a tip. So I'm looking to see if we can get some money out of that, because that's,
tip.
that part is just a certain amount. That may be maybe 1/3. But then 1/3, we may be able to pull it from there. So that's something that we need to look at, and you need to look at to see if we can pull that, yes, that's a tip, so we can pull something of that 5% from there.
Absolutely, that's great, yeah. I'm sorry, Trustee Williams.
Yes, it'll be on the agenda next week, because we have to vote on it so they can move forward. If we don't, they're gone. All right. All right, Mr. Cooper,
All right, Mayor, Madam Clerk, Board, appreciate you. All right.
thank you. Okay, last item, Trustee Gary Bell. Uh-oh, you tore my mic up now. That's not in the budget. That's not in the budget.
Thank you, Mayor. I was looking at some of these proposals here, you know, the designation for a street sign is no less than 12 years elected official, and there's really nothing about appointed, well, there's appointed stuff here, but I'm talking like, we have a deceased fire chief, that's 50 plus years of service at a time. We have another fire chief who's got 52.
You said we got a fire chief that got...
Assistant fire chief's got 52. We just had a guy go out with 45 years. And,
Okay.
you know, I just would like to see these people honored before they're gone.
Oh, you mean with the street sign?
With a street sign.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I know they were honored, but okay.
Right. You know, I mean, I started doing this stuff when I was 15 years old working for this town.
Oh, so you want one too? Okay.
I'm a town. I'll tell you happy with one. I'll be happy with a plaque, but it is what it is. You know, and you know, half the people, more than half the people in town would have no clue who Al Stoffragan was, or Ed Myers, or Dennis Sinnock. They would have no clue who he was. You know, you got 2/3 of your town is less than, what, 5 years that lived here? They would have no clue who some of these people are. So just to fetch 150 signatures, they would have no clue. I'm just saying, you know, do you know who Chief Stoffragan was?
So what is it that you say? Because it states here that in order to have a street sign is one thing, in order to have a plaque on a building is another thing. So what are you asking?
Just why I don't understand. People don't know who these people were. I mean, it was just like, we just had a funeral for a guy who served 35 years in this town, and the only people who showed up from this town was me and Debbie. That was it. We didn't even send a flower. Like,
You said who?
how embarrassing is that?
You said what? Not we didn't send flowers.
There's no flowers. I didn't see
We
nothing.
sent flowers.
I didn't see one.
Oh, okay. We sent flowers. You saw our art, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Flowers were sent for him.
I didn't see them. But
I didn't say that you didn't, but I mean flowers.
I know I sent
got
one.
the
I got
bill.
$160 for one.
Huh?
No, I sent one for the fire association.
Oh, okay. No, there was flowers sent.
But I never so disappointed in my life, but it is what it is. But back to the street signs. Half the people in this town's not gonna know who these people are to get these signatures. You know, or they're just gonna sign something just because I'm asking for a signature. I don't see why we can't just fast track a couple of these signs and just get them up. I mean, we could have, I tried this before the former fire chief passed away to get this done, and I got stonewalled. Nothing happened about it. And now that he's been gone for 2 years, I'm trying it again. And you got the assistant fire chief who just did 50-something years, another guy just left with 45 years. I mean, you served since 2005. You can get a sign. I mean, it's just right. I know you say you need to be out of office, but nowhere in here does it say they need to be out of office before they get a sign.
Okay, it states here, street signs are served an elected or appointed officials for no less than 12 years. So you have to be either appointed or elected to get a street sign as a village official. Next, now the plaque on the buildings can be an elected, appointed, or as a department head for no less than 20 years. So what do you say?
I'm just looking at this and it baffles me. I mean, I understand what you're saying, you know, this is stuff, but then again, this is the same thing we were saying. This was probably written 25, 30 years ago, and nothing's ever been changed.
Oh.
People don't
So you want to change the language then?
Well, yeah, that's what I say, but, you know, silly me for living here for 50-some years. I don't know. Being involved in town for 43 plus years. Silly me. There needs to be exceptions for things.
Trustee Williams? Okay. No.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know why my mic doesn't want to act tonight, but a couple things. Number one, I think what needs to happen is the last time the ordinance was rewritten, it was in 2017. It says right here that that's the last time it was rewritten. So it's a difference between previous ordinance 17006 is from 2017. But a couple things is this should probably get brought to the ordinance review committee for review because it does need to be rewritten and challenged a little bit because even number 2 here under eligibility, you either get a plaque or a building after 20 years. There's a big difference between a plaque and a building. So, well, I know, but I mean, the way it's written, number 2, you get a plaque or a building after 20 years. I think we need to define, and yes, I do 100% agree, that the people that have served 25, 35, 40 years, they deserve recognition while they're still here. I agree with that 100%, because we have a lot of people in that position that are still working every day. So can we possibly review this back to the ordinance review committee, and everybody can put their insight into it? But this number 2 definitely needs to be changed. And the thing you said about the signatures, I don't know why that was even a thing. We should just honor them because they should be honored. I don't see why we need to get signatures. Let me finish. I mean, I don't know why that was, I wasn't part of the original ordinance when it was created, but if we're going to start, we had the employee appreciation, staff appreciation. Years ago, we used to have that on an ongoing basis. Every 5 years, they got this. Every 10 years, they got that. Every 15, 20, 25. There was something at the end of each 5-year designation, and then we should just keep that going, moving, and it dropped for some reason several years ago. Okay, so do you agree, Mr. Mayor, that what you did a year ago, we should just maintain and bring this back to the table? Like every 5 years, we have an employee, and it wasn't just employees and staff, it was volunteers. Because we had people that volunteered for, you know, they were lifelong volunteers, and every 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they would go into that next designation. So I think this is going to require a lot of conversation, but it ultimately should go back to the ordinance review committee.
That's exactly right. It should, because if you're going to change ordinance, that's what it has to go through.
And it's ordinance 17-006.
As far as employee appreciation, I mean, yes, we can continue doing that. You know, we planned it last year. It just takes a little planning and getting things together because everything didn't happen the way it should have, but it did happen. So yes,
it's a start.
It's time. Trustee Coleman.
Yeah, I was also gonna. What came to mind also as I was reading this is that we had a young lady whose daughter, she wanted to memorialize, in a sense, to put her name on a park. I was wondering, you know, do we have something, you know, some type of ordinance regarding parks?
Not for parks, no, we
Not
don't.
for parks. Okay, well, that probably wasn't gonna, that issue, I mean, that subject is gonna pop up at the ordinance review committee too, so I guess I better get ready to get that ordinance. We don't have an ordinance for parks at all.
No.
Okay, but we have regulations for parks, right?
I mean, but, okay, I understand what you're saying, but, you know, there's nothing, you don't have an ordinance that states that how parks are named.
Okay, all right.
So,
Trustee Brown.
Trustee Brown, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Just start talking.
Mayor, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure I understand. What we're saying is that if a person has a job in the village for 20 or 25 years, for their job, we want to name a street after them because they worked somewhere for 20 or 25 years? Is that what we're saying? Or building because they had a job for 25 years?
Like how it used to go, like 5 years.
I mean, y'all just, I mean,
Well, I'm trying to
No, I
clarify, so,
understand,
because
but
my, it's
you're
like
asking-
if your husband or wife works somewhere for 25 years, they don't get a plaque, they'll get, maybe a recognition dinner, but they don't,
check.
a watch, but they don't get a street or a
They get a
sign
check.
or a building, or they may get a check,
They get a
but they
check.
don't get a building or signs or anything named after them.
get
So
a
I'm
check.
trying to understand, is that what we're saying? That because someone works somewhere for 25 years, we want to give them a building and a sign
what
or
they're
a
saying
street?
is that they feel that they did more than just naming a street or a building after them. I mean, one building right now is named after a person that was a mayor here. And that's Pazel Center. So then then they went from there to streets. So I understand what you're saying, but that has to be something that you have to put in writing, and that's what needs to be done for the ordinance, so you won't be any problems. It needs to be definitive, not just because of, and that's why a lot of things and it should go back to the ordinance review committee. If you have any suggestions, you can let them know, and then the ordinance review committee will bring it back to the board, and then, but that's after the fact. But right now, what Trustee Bell is saying, that he believes that certain people are deserving of more than just what they got. And that's what he's basically trying to say, that we should name. But usually, we name things that, usually, I won't say we, the village has been naming streets or buildings after you leave office. Not after you die, but after you stop working for that particular, or leave office.
The Peso Center,
Pazel.
is that the mayor
Yes, he's
who was
the mayor.
responsible for getting the Peso Center erected and constructed?
There's a lot of stories behind that. He helped get some of the grant money, but I was here. There's a lot of things that he was instrumental of getting some of the grant money that they needed to build that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, to your point, Trustee Burns, when it comes to bringing petitions to the current community, they are going to want to know who these people are, and so there's a possibility that it'll be, signatures will be hard to come by. Okay.
Well, yeah, 'cause we have a turnover, we have traffic in and out.
Yeah, and to her point about, yeah,
That'll be a dilemma you have
It pretty much-
on your committee. That'll have to be your committee's dilemma.
yeah, and the point,
The bottom line is, it doesn't matter who knows.
Well-
We had a fire
well,
chief,
well,
we had a fire chief serve over 50 years that's deceased now. What's given him is the
Sure.
street he lived on, named the street after.
I know you're passionate, I understand.
yeah, and that's,
Well, we can't just yell back and forth like that.
and,
I know you're passionate.
well, when it comes to the petitions being signed, you're gonna have that issue.
We should have one.
Sharon, trustee. Okay.
I forgot.
No, I mean, but if you do that, then what's to stop everybody else from doing the same thing?
I'm just bringing out a point that, an issue that you're gonna have to deal with, I would imagine, so.
So may I ask you, Trustee Bell, you brought this up. What is it that you want to see done since you brought this?
I like to go back before the ordinance review, and I'm taking the time when you meet this, I'm here to explain it. What I want to see. So Trustee Williams, people who know, I mean, when you guys were down a few years ago, nobody knows this, and you're not. Understand on that?
It's a long time to sue.
What about?
Mike, and then, pardon me? Okay, are we going to discuss, or we going to have?
Well, this is the
I
time.
know, what I'm saying is, they're going to bring it to your department, to your committee,
Okay.
and we can go from there.
Yeah, very good. Okay. No, I haven't given one yet. I haven't given the date yet. No.
All right. All right, I'll ask for public comments. All questions and comments have been directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter concerning the business of the village of Sauk Village municipality. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not engage in debate. Counter replies and rebuttals. I will answer all questions after the questions have been asked. Could you put that microphone, that's one of those microphones up there, the little podium there? Please state your name when you come up to the mic.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Patricia Brennan.
Vernon?
Brennan, B-R-E-N-N-A-N. I think it's, like Mr. Trustee Bell said, it's a shame that these people give so much of their time. And it's not just doing their job. They're away from their families in the middle of the night. They put their lives on the line being out there doing their job. There should be more than just flowers sent. Nobody showed up at the funeral. That's not right. 2 people from the village, that's an insult. To me, that's a huge insult. And I don't understand why. Somebody that gives that much time and effort and nobody can take, what, 30 minutes, go across the line, sign a book, tell the family they're sorry, and leave? I don't understand. Mayor Mansfield?
Good evening. I convey my condolences. Larry Sapp, we have, can I start down there?
Yeah, as soon as you say the name, I start.
Fine. Fine. We have a lot of discrepancies in our finance. Now stop?
Stop. Okay. I'm going to start all the way over.
Yes, ma'am. I have some questions regarding discrepancies in our finance department, because you guys talk about things and we never get answers. The residents are left in the dark with regard to any conclusion. So I want to ask the question, Mayor. First of all, with regard to the $500 that was supposedly taken out of Trustee Coleman's committee fund and given to Madam Clerk, she said she spent it. Then you say she did it and he still had it. We never got an answer with regard to any conclusion. I would like to answer on that. And then I would like to ask the question with regarding the $10,000 that was also allegedly misplaced or stolen. We know that there's a person responsible for transferring money to the bank from the safe. We know that person, I won't call their name, but we know that that person is there. But we don't know the conclusion. What happened to the money? Did it get returned? Did the person get brought to justice? Was the person reprimanded? What happened with that? We need to know. We have a right to know. Also, there's a memo circulating that one of our directors allegedly misplaced or took $78,000. We need to know what's going on with that. This memo was circulated on the day that Dr. Jones got terminated. I don't know why she waited till the last day to terminate, because according to the memo, she found this out maybe a couple of years ago, and I would like to know, did you know this before she circulated the memo, Mayor? And if so, do you believe the memo to be true? And what's going on with regard to finding out the truth about $78,000? Can we recover it? Where is it? Where is it?
The job,
What's the last thing? How much did you say? Did you say 70?
I believe it was
You
78,000.
said 78.
I may not be
Okay, I
accurate,
just wanna make sure.
78,000,
Okay.
yeah. And don't take that from my tax and stuff. Okay, with regard to the financial director's job, financial directors come in between budgets all the time. They're trained professionals, that's what they do. They need to be able to come in and pick up wherever somebody left off. That's what they're trained to do. She's been gone for 3 weeks. There's only 2 people here qualified to post a job, that's HR and yourself. Why hasn't that job been posted with the dire need that we have in our department?
All right, in regards to the first person, as far as Mr. Johnson, I cannot answer for other people that wasn't there. I know I was, I had, all right, John. No, that was good funeral. Okay. Anyway, I just want to apologize. I wasn't there. I did have something that I had forgot. Oh, I had it on my calendar, and I was at another meeting that was in another town. And when I looked up and saw that I was supposed to have been there, it was too late. So I will apologize for that. For myself, I cannot apologize for anyone else, why anyone else wasn't there. But you're absolutely right. Sure, more than 1 or 2 people should have showed up because I knew what art was to this town. I personally gave him a plaque when, and then before he left, because he was as the director for a lot of years, and he has done a lot. To something like that, to say that he's not going to get anything, that's not true. It takes a minute. And I see now that it may be something that they may revisit in the resolutions and in the codes for to do that. But me, for one, will be not opting, but asking to have a sign or something more than just giving them a plaque. In the next item. The $500, I was told that, the money that was, I don't know if it was given to the clerk. I know that it shouldn't have been because the money that was coming from each and every one of the trustees' budget shouldn't have gone for that type of event. What? Okay. It shouldn't, that's what I had said that shouldn't be transferred out of there because that's not what it was given for. The money was given so that each committee or each trustee and the committees could feed their constituents when they come to the meeting. And as far as anything else, I'm not going to sit here and try to speculate what happened to what money or whatever. I can just tell you this. All the other ones, I'm not sure just where the 78,000 came from, but the other 2 are under investigation right now. So for me to say anything about it, and it's under investigation, it's going further than just here at the village. I can assure you that it's not going to just stay here in the village, it's going to go further to the next level. So for me to talk about it right now, and then I'll have to be subpoenaed in, and did you say this or whatever, I'm just letting you know that it is under investigation, and it is being, hopefully we can get this resolved before the budget. So, but I'm not sure the 78, I didn't hear anything about $78,000, so. And yes, I've been here for a minute, I didn't hear about that. Okay, that being said, I will poll the trustees, ask for questions. Start with Trustee Jazinski.
I don't have anything.
Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sauk Talk articles are due March 15th by 5 p.m. We need to get in the habit of getting the Sauk Talk articles in on time. In March, there will be no exceptions whatsoever. So, I mean, I've done it for 2 months. This is our third Sauk Talk. So I'm asking that everybody please work with me, and hopefully you can get something in the next Sauk Talk and have it in by 5 o'clock on the 15th. And totally agree that we need to recognize our longstanding employees. Yes, they do get a paycheck. Yes, they come to work, but the type of people that specifically that you pointed out, Trustee Bell, are people that they work regular jobs, some of them, and still come out in the middle of the night, rain, snow, sleet, hail. I know Art Johnson was one of them. He would come out all times of the day and night, and he would be there and protect our safety, and it was really important. And I would like very much, when you have that on your committee agenda, to be a part of that. I think it is important that we recognize our people for the long-standing efforts that they've made throughout the years. The other thing, you mentioned not knowing anything about the $78,000. I think, did you get a copy of the last couple memos? I'm going to pass this over to you. Could you pass it to the mayor, please? There's been several allegations made about missing money and stolen money, and, you know, and even the word, and I hate to use the word misappropriation, but it's been stated point blank there's been possible theft, several thousands of dollars. The mayor has alluded to this is under investigation. Personally, when we passed the ordinance to do the forensic audit years ago, I believe that that ordinance included 2 years and we only did 1. And in view of the fact that there's been some really strong allegations made against our finances and our department heads, I think people's names need to be cleared. I think the village needs to be, it needs to come out whether or not these allegations are unfounded. There's a lot of retaliation going back and forth between the employees, and it's very serious allegations. I would like to revisit a forensic audit. We can do the forensic audit on the year that we're currently auditing, because I think you have to have the audit done before you can do the forensic audit. But I want to really investigate the date, the time frames of all these allegations and decide if we need to do 1 forensic audit or maybe 2. Because there's been some serious allegations about cash not tying into the financial reports, and we need to do something. We need to be better. Okay, and as trustees, we're supposed to be fiscally responsible for the residents' money, so I am going to ask to have that put back on the table, doing some forensic audits to make sure that other than our own staff members are looking into our finances. So that's something I hope to bring back to the table sometime soon. Not right now. Not today. So come to the table sometime soon, because we're still late a couple audits. So I really want to know what all these letters are and all these accusations go. I don't even know what investigation is going on right now. So I think we need to find out, and I'm going to bring it back, that we bring some forensic audits back. That's going to be my recommendation. But other than that, thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
Trustee Coleman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I want to give my condolences to the Brenham family, is it? Okay. I myself, I just returned from out of the country last night, and I left on Wednesday, well, I left Thursday morning a.m., so I don't know if I was here or not, but I didn't know about the services either. But again, my condolences to the family, and I would never be insensitive towards as to your feelings. I pray for your comfort and your peace. And as soon as I can, I'll have a date for ordinance review committee, and all are welcome.
Trustee Bird?
My condolences as well. And just hearing what you were saying made me say what I want to say right now. As elected officials, I think from this day forward, the mayor would say so as well, that unless we are out of town or have other pressing situations that would literally keep us out of these services of our residents that are passing, it should be mandatory that we be there. I think it should. And because so many of us do not know, I did not know, and I'm truly sorry, but we're elected officials, and we should be there. And if the mayor says so, unless there's something else outside of our control, I think it should be mandatory that we do. My condolences to the family and respect to you all.
Trustee Bell?
Thank you, man. And that's kind of where this whole thing was going. For almost 20, well, actually almost 15 years, I got paid $0. And as Art Johnson was paid $0 until he made director. And then he made a whole $175 every 2 weeks plus his call pay. He was a mailman for 20-some years. I was a steel worker, worked for the school district. But you know what? It didn't matter. When that thing on my hip went on, everything stopped because it was time to save somebody's life. This was our town. This is how we rewarded. To me, it was nothing like, it didn't matter. I saved my best friend's parents' lives. I saved anybody's lives. If it was my turn, it was my turn. I've been hurt. I've been damn near maimed in a fire one day. Had a house fall on me, whole side of a house. Boom, took my shoulders out. Got them rebuilt. And you know what's the funny thing was? 8 weeks later, I was back at work. Because silly me, I needed to make that whole $3.65 for the call. You know, we didn't do it for the money. The first 10 years, when we first started getting paid, you got paid $3.65 per call, and you got paid every 6 months. So you had a Christmas check and a vacation check. That's how my kids went on vacation. I just hope we can figure something out for these people. Thank you so much.
Trustee Grant?
I want to say my condolences to the family of Art Johnson as well. I do hate that you had to come up here under these circumstances to voice your frustrations. You know, honestly, you know, you shouldn't be up here letting us know exactly what didn't happen. You know, we should have all been there. So, you know, on behalf of, you know, myself and the board, I do know that we do sincerely apologize, and we are sorry for your loss. Being, you know, a public servant, serving the residents is a thankless job, and for somebody to serve as long as he did, and like we mentioned, you know, Myers and Dennis Sinderwick and for Child Freshie Stockbridge, you know, it's just, you know, those people, those guys who just put that amount of time in, you know, it's just like you can never really repay them for that. All you can do is just say thank you and just give them a little gratitude. So, I mean, that's all anybody ever really wants, is just some appreciation. So I definitely understand, you know, your frustrations, and I do sympathize with you. In regards to, I do have some questions for Mr. Finch, and not for today, but more so for next week. So this is more so not a comment, but just a question. So, well, right before Dr. Jones left, we talked about doing the new budgeting software. So I guess like where we are with that, because I think that just kind of dropped as soon as she left. And then there were a lot of items under on the accounts payable that were under review. I know a big one was like a civic update for like $50,000 and some other things. So we should, like, can we take a look at like what those things are and see like where we are? As of today, you know, Mr. Taylor just came in here and said pretty much we're probably going to pay $150,000 more in insurance this year versus last year. So that's something we have to budget and think about. You know, I mean, this is the month of March now, so it's really crucial time to understand where we are with our finances. So thank you for getting that revenue and those expenses stuck to us, because I mean, it's really going to help us project like next year's budget, like what can we actually do. I know we have a big wish list of things that we want to get done, and just being honest, you know, it just depends on how the money is coming in. So I think that this year's budget we should do a little bit differently. We should probably just try our best to come up with as a board, come up with some goals that we want to accomplish this year, and like, because we can't do everything, right? I mean, I know we might want to do everything, we just can't. And we should probably just focus on one or two big things that we want to do for the residents, and whether that's fix fire hydrants, you know, pave a street, whatever, because I know that money is tight, and it will be tight. As you know, honestly, I think that when you pull the revenues for the property taxes, we'll see that, you know, we just had a payment that was in December. I think we're all getting hit with another payment. I think it's March 1st. No, was it March?
No, April.
April, right? I mean, that's 4 months. Usually residents have, I think, a 6-month gap to pay their bill. I mean, that's a quick turnaround for some people who just can't afford to barely, you know, pay the house payment. Now they have to come up with another payment like super fast, right? So I think that we're all in challenging times. We all hear what's going on with inflation. We all see what's going on in the market, stock market, et cetera. And so I think that we just have to, you know, ourselves as the village just tighten down and just get an understanding of where we are. I understand that we can't do everything, but we can just at least try to do 1 or 2 things that will pay dividends and show off to the residents that, hey, we are trying to do something. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Again, I just wanted to tell the Art Johnson family, like I said, I've known Art since I became anything to do with the village. I consider him a friend. He used to come by the house, and then sometime I would meet him at the village. Some of the things, that's when I was trustee. Before that, I wasn't involved that much in the village. But he did a great job. You guys don't know, I don't know if anyone here remembers the things he went through in his department. It was hard for him to even get a bicycle just so he could ride around. I mean, seriously. And I used to tell him, I said, well, why don't you, you know, go to the other department and say, why don't, you know, you got the police department, you got the fire department, give a little, because you assist them. And he was trying to do that. I mean, Artie was, but I'll tell you one thing, the people that was in the ESDA at the time when Art was director, we didn't have a problem. As a matter of fact, we had so many people that was in that department that, I mean, every time we went out there, 5 or 6 people out there, and nobody wanted to leave the department because they liked him. So, you know, and he did work for the post office. And there was a lot of discrepancy there, which I didn't like how things were going on. They were really browbeating him at the time because, you know, it was just a lot of stuff going on. So Art he did have to go through a lot in this department and the people that was there. So I really did like how he was able to say, oh, that's okay, or whatever, and didn't go back and forth to one time. He did get a little bit upset, and he did go back and forth with some of the people that were doing a lot of the accusations with him. But my prayers go out to the family. I prayed when I found out about it, and yes, we did send flowers, and I hope, and if you didn't get them or whatever, let me know, because we do have an invoice that we send flowers for that. But Artie was, like I said, was a good friend of mine. And then when I found out he had got sick and stuff, we used to eat breakfast in the morning up at the restaurant that was right now, it's called Black Salt. We used to eat breakfast up there in the morning time on the weekends, because at that time I was still working. So just wanted to say that. The next thing, there's so much stuff that, I mean, okay. And I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to be done with it. As far as the forensic audit, when in 2019 there was one done, and we spent money because there was a lot of accusations being stated, there was a lot of things being stated, there was money said missing and everything or whatever. Nothing came about that. There was one little item, I don't even remember exactly what it was. But that being said, I have no problem with a forensic audit. I welcome one, but I have nothing to lose. However, be careful what you ask for, because that trail may not just lead to this one point, it may lead up elsewhere. And believe me when I say this, if it is, and if that happens, then I'm going to be just as swift as I was with anything else that goes on in this village, as far as money being taken or people being misled or people not doing what they need to do as far as their job. So there's 2 sides to every story. So I'm just saying that I welcome it. I want to see more than you guys want to see. I want to see exactly where things went, what happened. There was a lot of accusations, but we only did one part. There's going to be more than one part done with this particular. That's why it's taken a long time because we have to pull all the things and all the strings together, all the parts. But once those parts are brought out, there's gonna be swift action. I promise that. So, that being said, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Trustee Bell, second by Trustee Williams. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good night. No. So you all get money for